Good morning. I've issued a statement and don't intend to have a press conference, but would be willing to answer any questions that you may have. Obviously, this is a significant day in the life of Williamson County residents and also Metro National Public Schools, and so be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
So can you reiterate then, why are you staying with Williamson County?
Well, I will tell you, I haven't slept in 3 days trying to contemplate the decision, and the reality of it is speaking with my family and my friends and praying, and the amount of support and feedback that I received from students, their parents, the business community here. I had over 5,000 contacts from individuals in the last couple of days asking me to stay the course with Williamson County Schools, and it was overwhelming to me and spoke to my heart.
Dr. Looney, it was a very long process at Metro, a very public interview process. Why go through all of that if you weren't for sure you would take the job offer if it was offered?
Well, I had every intention to accept a job offer if it was given to me. But as you might expect, these are very personal family decisions that have to be made. And so at the end of the day, you know, I actually made a T-chart this morning about 1 o'clock trying to go through it one more time. And when I looked at my emails and my text messages and reflected on the phone calls that I received from students in the district, family members, parents, employees, the business community, the Chamber of Commerce, the mayor's office, I just found peace and feel like this is the place for me.
Did you not feel that support prior to applying for this job and going through that process?
No, obviously not. I mean, the reality of it is I applied with all sincerity to pursue the job and to take the job if it was offered to me. Obviously, once that became public, people started contacting me and asked me not to stay, and I think as momentum built, more people started vocalizing their concern about me leaving and asking me to stay, and it's a really rare position to be in where the community rallies around the work that we're doing as a school district in an effort to maintain the momentum that we have.
Dr. Lee, the school board chairman mentioned in the statement that there are still mountains to climb in Williamson County Schools. What are some of those mountains that you see going forward?
Well, I'm glad that you asked the question. We have a strategic plan, which is our roadmap to success, and our district is absolutely focused on becoming nationally recognized in academics, the arts, and athletics. And the reality of it is we're not there yet. You know, despite the distraction that this search process has caused and the pain that's associated with it, and I want to tell you that I was extremely impressed with the warm reception that I got in Nashville, and I really believe that the school board members there are focused on student learning, and quite frankly, we haven't been as focused as we need to be, so I think we can learn from that school district and our focus. So we still have a lot of work to do in Williamson County Schools, and at this point in time, I have ratified the contract, and I will remain in this district for at least 4 more years.
What did the school board members say in Nashville when you told them you weren't going to take the job?
I spoke to Chairman Gentry, and obviously she was disappointed. I think she was hurt and frustrated with my decision, and I completely respect and understand that. I would feel the same way, and there's nothing that I can say to take that pain and hurt away. I hope that the public can consider how important this type of decision is to my family or to any family, and so at the end of the day, it comes down to a very personal decision that someone has to make, and I made that decision, what I think is in the best interest of my family, and at the same time in the best interest of my working family that I've grown to love for the last 6 years. I mean no disrespect to Nashville whatsoever. I believe that there are great days ahead. They've had other good candidates that applied for the position, and I stand committed and ready to support them in any way that I can from my perch here.
I know when you got here this morning there was some sort of celebration. There's signs in your office. What was that like to see that when you got to the building?
Well, I actually began my day at Montgomery Bell Park, where all of our principals are assembled in a 2-day planning retreat. And so I came back specifically for this meeting and was overwhelmed by the show of support, the signs, and the praise that I received for staying. And I think that this is really a special moment in time in our school community. We have rallied together around you know, the thought process that we are pleased with the course that we're on, the trajectory that we're on, and I think the community has spoken very publicly and vocally that they want to stay on that course.
With all due respect, Dr. Looney, just because it kind of is the elephant in the room, how would you respond to people who say this is politically motivated because there was a lot of politics on the board and within the community got into, knee deep into this process, or financially motivated?
Well, I certainly understand both of those positions, and I made it clear in the interview process that I've been dissatisfied with our lack of focus on students in Williamson County in the course of the last months. But I really think that this search process has rallied our school board and our community around a common cause, and that is focusing on our strategic plan moving forward. I appreciate and certainly understand and am empathetic to those individuals that think that this was in some way a ploy to garner more money in my employment contract or to send a message to the school board. And the reality of it is, as I spoke with Dr. Gentry and as I answered the questions in my interview process, I consider myself to have been a legitimate candidate and did my very best to secure the job and the offer, and obviously that worked out for me. But at the end of the day, as I said, I lost a lot of sleep over this. I prayed very hard about it, had a lot of community input, and we are where we are today. And so my commitment is to focus on teaching and learning for this district for the next 4 years, to give the community what they demand from us as a school district, and that is a focused school board and superintendent, making sure that the learning outcomes in the academics, arts, and athletics are what they expect.
Do you feel like the prospect of leaving might have unified the school board here?
I think it did in many ways, and I also was extremely pleased to see the unification of the Metro National Public Schools Board. These processes unfortunately take place in a very open and public setting, and I'm not sure that's the best way, because usually when you're making employment decisions, you can do those at your family table and talk to your family about it, but it's the nature of the work. And I really believe, despite the frustration that Metro feels right now, that they're going to do very well in the future, because the school board has come together there to focus on hiring a good candidate. And obviously our school board has come together. We don't always do it in a nice, pretty way here, but at the end of the day, we've managed to get the work done. And so my task and the school board's task in the months ahead is to really focus our work and to avoid the adult distractions and get back to the business of teaching and learning. I want to give a special word of gratitude to our mayor, Rogers Anderson. I apologize, Mayor. And we have the chairman of the Williamson Inc., the Chamber of Commerce, Matt Largent, here, and I want to thank him as well. I also have a couple school board members here, Mr. Mark Gregory and Jay Galbraith. Thank you so much for your support and for your patience as my family worked through this process. I apologize for putting both communities through this process. I really don't know of any other way to express my sorrow for both school districts for causing a distraction and obviously making you come here to talk about this rather than the fact that we have an infothon tomorrow at the Cool Springs Mall. There's so many great things happening both in Metro and in this school district, and my plea to the community is for us all to focus on the students and not the adults. Thank you so much for coming this morning.